Welcome in, everybody. I'm Bobby Burton, joined by CJ Vogel and Jerry Hamilton here at the local in Nashville. It opens up here in about 45 minutes. Longhorns taking on the Vanderbilt Commodores later today. I think it's on 28th and West End. If you're looking for a location to come out and hang out, have beers, hang out with some fellow Longhorns. I think they're going to be here today as well. Really nice spot prior to the game. It's only about 300 yards from where CJ Vogel is standing right now. CJ in front of the Vanderbilt Stadium. You can see here they'll have $30 buckets of beer here, wings, nachos, first come, first serve. So I can't save any spots or anything like that. But guys, get on out here, hang out with fellow folks. A lot of stuff going to be going on today. I'm already seeing a bunch of orange shirts, burnt orange shirts going up and down West End Boulevard here in front of us as well. All right, guys, look, we got a lot to talk about today. We're going to talk about a little bit of the offense, a little bit of the defense, how Texas stacks up on both sides of the ball this morning versus their counterparts in black and gold. But before we do that, I want to say thank you to one of our key sponsors on game day, and that is our friends over at Flight. It is the next generation of light beer from our friends at Yuengling. It's only got 95 calories with with 4.2 grams of carbs. It's an upscale light beer designed to elevate the customer experience. It's an easy to drink beer with a crisp taste. Try Flight from Yuengling. Thanks to the fine folks at Flight and our friends at Faust Distributing down there. Hey, Jerry and CJ, we talk about this, and we're getting a lot of people here in the chat talking a little Longhorn football as well. Let's start off, though, with the Texas offense versus the Vanderbilt defense this morning. What are y'all's thoughts or the keys to the game for this Texas offense versus the Vanderbilt defense? CJ, since you're right next to the stadium, I'm going to go to you first. Keys for the Texas O.
Yeah, that's pretty cool background, isn't it, Bobby? A lot of construction, a lot of burnt orange, as you mentioned. But for the game specifically, I think it all falls on Quinn, right? And I don't want to be a doomsday guy. I don't want to be a guy that gives too much credit. But for the rut that we've seen him in over the last two games, find some confidence. You got the bye week coming up. Find some way to go in there, playing well with some momentum. Get that confidence just going. Because right now he's not playing with confidence. And that's something Texas desperately needs if they want to achieve their ultimate goals this year. So get Quinn going, start quickly, and throw the ball down the field, right? Take the shots. Don't be afraid. Don't be timid. Don't be checked down, Quinn. Let's see that arm that was highly touted coming out of high school. Let's return to that high-flying Quinn that we've seen in the past. That's my expectation. That's my hope today for the Texas offense.
All right, Jerry, what do you think the keys are in this game for Texas offense beyond maybe just Quinn Ewers and him getting back on track?
Yeah, look, I think Quinn's feet need to move like an athlete today. First off, talking about Quinn, just the rest won't matter unless that's the first thing you see. It's got to be more reactive. There's got to be more decisive movement with his feet, and because your feet tell you what else, everything else that's going to happen. And so that's what needs to happen. I think Sark's in an interesting spot because you watch the Vanderbilt tape and you know you can have success throwing against them. I think they're 94th in the country in pass defense. I think CJ said that. So you have to resist the temptation of what you see on tape, I think is a big thing for Sark. And I'm not saying go run the ball in first, second, third down, but I do think establishing run game today is key. So because when you see a team on tape and you know you can have success throwing the ball against them, and you're a coach like Sark who likes to pass to set up the run, then he's almost got to resist the temptation of what he sees on tape. I think that's going to be a big thing for me. Obviously, you want to win the toss and take the ball in this game. You got to get off to a good start because here's the thing. Vanderbilt's played 4 Power 4 opponents this year. They've outscored them 30-14 in the first quarter. So Vanderbilt is a first quarter team, and their first half team they're more of a first half team than second half team, but first quarter has been their strongest quarter of the season. So coming out, you win the toss, you take the ball, you take control of that football game early on and see if you can take Vanderbilt out of that, what they ideally want to do. And because it's going to be different, but, Vanderbilt would love to do what Mississippi State did, just do it at home with better players. That's what they want to do.
Yeah, I think that the key here, we talk about Quinn and the quarterback position for Texas. That's certainly a key to today's game. Another key, I think, is the offensive line. and finding Quinn time to pass. He has been under duress, or the defenses have given him difficult looks each of the last 2 games. Venables got after him early, and then the running game settled Quinn down a little bit, and he was able to finish that game and look pretty good at the last 2 or 3 quarters. But the first quarter and a half, bad start, and part of that had to do with Oklahoma getting home early in that process and not being able to get the running game going. I think that starts a little bit with the offensive line today. So while it may be the run game, it may be Quinn's athleticism, where he needs to look like he's an athlete, to what Jerry said, and look like a guy that actually can handle a dirty pocket. That's really the thing that has come to light in the last 2 weeks. He doesn't look like a quarterback that can handle a dirty pocket. So whether that's athleticism, as Jerry points out, or just feel and pocket presence, we're not quite sure yet, but that's been something that's been the negative. I think the positive for Texas and what needs to happen is the offensive line to really get going and be the dominant force, the strength of this offense, as we thought it would be in the preseason. Now, the Vanderbilt defense guys, they've got a couple of guys coming back. Clark Lee, the head coach at Vanderbilt, is a defense-first coach. He was the former Notre Dame defense coordinator under Brian Kelly, led the team to a national championship playoff appearance previously as well. What do y'all think about the Vanderbilt defense and the strength of its defense, even though we know they're not exactly ranked real high?
Their linebackers are their strength, especially with Langston Patterson back. And Randon Fontenette's a TCU transfer from Brazosport High, was a 4-star kid coming out of high school. The Patterson kid, the other linebacker they have, they're guys that are from the Nashville area, the Tennessee area, and they're good players. They have a good trio of linebackers on this team. Now, their defensive front is not necessarily a pass rushing group, and I say that, and if they get 5 sacks today, I'm saying up to this point, they haven't been. They do have a little more size on the interior than you're accustomed to seeing with Vanderbilt. They have a kid, Demarcus Thomas, who's 6'2", 320, a sophomore out of state of Oklahoma. Then they have a kid from England who's 6'7", 305, who's a junior. They're not as experienced up front, good at linebacker, really experienced at safety. Cornerbacks lack, I think, a little long speed. So we'll see there. Vanderbilt played a lot of too high shell against Ball State. Will they do that again against Texas? I suspect you're going to see a lot of zone from Vanderbilt and say, all right, Quinn, go deal on us.
CJ, what do you think the Vanderbilt defense has in store for the Longhorns?
It's interesting, right? Yeah, I think the best way to describe their defense is they're a scrappy bunch, right? They don't do a whole lot that's significantly better than the average opponent. Of course, you see the numbers here. A lot of them ranging from 60 to 80 to 90. Of course, third down conversions up in the hundreds, which Texas needs to have a good bounce back in this category after going 2 of 15 a week ago. So, again, it's all about momentum here. If you can find that on the Texas offense, you should have a good day. Vanderbilt, again, I look at that linebackers, Langston Patterson. He's a big one. Ricky Wright, the safety, is a fifth-year guy that has a lot of experience. He spent, I believe, all 5 years here at Vanderbilt. A really talented all-SEC caliber guy, at least previously. I'm not sure if he's up to that par this year. But they can allow yards through the air. They've been susceptible this entire season, right? Alabama, 35 points in 18 minutes on only about 45 plays. That means that there's big plays available for this Texas offense. It's just up to the wide receivers, the offensive line, and obviously the quarterback to make those big plays happen. But they allow big plays, and that's one of the big things that I look at in this offense, that, yes, they like to take the time down off of their own offensive possessions. They like to shorten the game, but you can certainly score quickly, move the ball quickly against this defense, and the chunk plays should be there for the Longhorns this afternoon.
Hey, Bobby, we have a really good comment from Britt Rasco. All the things we talk about within the game, this may be actually the most important.
Yeah, Texas needs to play angry. Brett says, I would be. I've got to admit this. Maybe Texas, and I think Coach Irwin and Bob Shipley said this on Lunch with the Coach this week, felt like Texas didn't match Georgia's energy on Saturday. That is something I also think happened the last time Texas was coming off a regular season loss a year ago against Oklahoma. Texas went into Houston and literally did not really match Houston's energy. Houston made that a ball game, a really tight one in the fourth quarter. Texas cannot let that same type of game happen here this year, because I tell you what, Vanderbilt's a better team than Houston was a year ago. They've got a more complete quarterback, one that will take advantage of you. We'll talk about a little bit about the Vanderbilt offense in a second. But I actually wanted to go to this question, if y'all don't mind, real quick, and it is a fair one. The one that we talked about early in the week. Texian, how short is Quinn's leash today? We were talking about the Texas offense. Look, he doesn't step up in the pocket. He isn't willing to throw, really step into a ball to push it deep. If he isn't sharp early and Texas somehow falls behind, or the offense is sputtering when they should be moving the ball fairly frequently against a team, y'all mentioned it, a defense ranked in the 80s, 90s, 100s in just about every major category. How short is Quinn's leash today? A quarter and a half, full game? You know, you had a guy that looked like a world beater against Michigan, and now he's lucky that he can clean the closet at the last two games. So what are y'all thinking right now?
Yeah, well, look, this is probably as important, and I'm not saying biggest, because Quinn's played some big games and performed really well at Alabama, at Michigan, Oklahoma State, right? This may be the most important first quarter and a half of his time at Texas. Because, again, Vanderbilt is a first quarter team. They were 7-0 after the first quarter at Kentucky. They were up 13-7 against Bama. Bama had a turnover in that first quarter. They played Missouri to a draw on the road 7-7, and they outscored Vanderbilt 3-0. So this is a team that knows they're a strong first quarter team. They expect to come out and play well to start a football game. It's imperative Quinn has I'm not going to say he has to look like Michigan Quinn, but he needs to look close to that in the first quarter and a half of this game for Texas today, because what happens when it's almost the opposite of what you're seeing with Vanderbilt. Diego Pavilla's over there. He's a cage fighter, a future MMA fighter, a state champion wrestler, right? And that's what he is. That's what he's not the most talented guy, but he brings emotion and energy out of his team to the nth degree. And that's why they're where they're at this year. For Quinn, look, you don't have to be a playmaker with your feet outside the pocket, but at any level of playing quarterback, you have to be a playmaker with your feet in the pocket. And he needs to show his offensive line he's that guy early in this game. Because everybody saw the film last week. Coaches, offensive line, Quinn, receivers, running backs. They watched the film, and they saw he was not a playmaker for his team in the pocket. This is the most important quarter and a half of his career at Texas, because if it's anything close to Georgia, Sark will have to make a move. And I'm not sure you bring him back in if you make the move today.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, CJ, get your take on this. If Sark makes that move, a week ago he went back to Quinn. And Quinn actually responded, I thought, fairly well in the third quarter. Yeah. He makes the move today. I don't think he comes back to Quinn. Is that accurate in your opinion?
Yeah, if you get benched against Vanderbilt, I mean, just listen to that, right? If you get benched against Vanderbilt, that's probably the nail in the coffin. And again, I don't really want to theorize about this. I don't like to hypothesize about what could happen for Quinn. Again, it's about what needs to happen, and that's throwing the ball down the field. That's about, to Jerry's point, being the playmaker. And I've said this earlier in the week, and I'll say it again today. When you're in a rut shooting a basketball, the only way that you can get out of that rut is to continue shooting. When you're a batter and you're in a slump, the only way you can get out of that slump is to hit a line drive up the middle and get that confidence back. For Quinn, it's about hitting the guys over the middle of the field. It's about finding that corner route, that deep comeback, whatever it might be, that finds that confidence for him to get back to where he was earlier in the year. Because again, out of the Michigan game, what was the big thing for Quinn? It was, wow, we've never seen him throw on the run, on the move, on off-platform throws as well as he did. He had total command of that game, and that's been totally absent in these last two games since he's been back on the field. However, here's where you kind of find some momentum or some bright spot against Georgia. 194 passing yards in the second half of that game. You don't throw for 200 against the Georgia defense in a single half very often. I know that they were behind. I know that everything was off script. That's something to build off of for me. And those came from finally saying, all right, I got to throw it. I got to make a play somehow. Where is that play? And he did it a little bit with the kind of the back foot fade away to Gunnar Helm. Just give your guys a chance because you've got good wide receivers. You have the athletic advantage in this game. Trust your guys. Trust your arm. Trust your instincts. That's what I want to see from Quinn today. And again, in the sense of how long of a leash, I hope we don't have to get to that conversation, but you got to start quickly. And I think to Jerry's point earlier, if you're Steve Sarkisian, you got to start with the football and you have to score, right? 6 of 21 on first down drive or first possession drives over the last year and a half in terms of scoring touchdowns on opening drives. You got to make that 7 of 22 today.
And by the way, Quinn should have a really good game today. He should have a bounce back, really good game against this defense. That's what should happen. No question.
Yeah, it should. Shooters, to CJ's point, shooters got to shoot. That's what he's saying. Here's one thing I would add, though. He's got to protect the ball while doing so. This is going to be a situation where we're going to talk next about the Vanderbilt offense against the Texas defense. And the piece there is you can't turn the ball over against this Vanderbilt offense that likes to sit on it with the time of possession and move the ball, cautiously down the field over a period of time. All right. Before we get going to the next point, I want to talk about the Texas defense and the keys to the game for them against the Vanderbilt offense. I want to give you a chance, Jerry, to tell people about one of our sponsors, Duck Camp.
Yeah, Duck Camp is made for people that live in the moments out there where there are fish to catch, birds to hunt, time to kill, and football to watch, which we'll be doing all day. They like doing all that stuff, so they built a company centered on it, based in Austin, and dedicated to giving people best-in-class hunting and fishing apparel. There are those of you out there to look forward to the opening day of hunting season and the kickoff of every single Longhorn football game with the fervor and excitement of a 5-year-old on Christmas morning. That's all why we're all here, right? And Duck Camp is here to let you know that from opening day to game day, they've got you covered. At Duck Camp, they believe you can't just sit around and wait for the adventure to come to you. You have to get out there, stay out there, and make the most of every second. Here's to great seasons, you guys. Yes, hunting and football. Shop hunting gear at duckcamp.com.
Good guys there. They've sponsored on our tailgates all year long a $200 gift certificate going to the winner. Ski Breck, guy familiar with the chat, is the one that took that home a week ago. So happy to have that happen for someone we know. Hey, I want to say this, if you don't mind, guys. It is a little overcast today. Rain moved through in Nashville at around 8 o'clock this morning, between 7:30 and 8. It looks like it could come a little bit of a shower here or there. It's expected to burn off a little bit as the day runs on. 3:15 kickoff for Texas. Up, look at CJ showing people the sky there. 3:15 the kickoff on SEC Network. Texas favored by 18.5 today. 70 degrees the expected temp at kickoff. Perfect fall football weather. Just about here in Nashville. All right, let's talk about the keys to the game for the Texas defense, guys. I will start us off and say this is a big game, in my opinion, for the Texas edges. The edges and the linebackers have to stop Diego Pavia from making it into an easy 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-yard gain on zone reads, quick plays on the. That is the key to the game. Is how Barron Sorrell, Ethan Burke, Colin Simmons, Trey Moore, Anthony Hill, Leonga Lafau, and David Benda. Those guys are going to be the focal point. Their success will lead to Longhorn success today, in my opinion. What do y'all think the keys are for this Texas defense? CJ, I'll start with you, bud.
Yeah, I like the edges. I like the linebackers. Of course, the off script of Diego Pavia is what makes him so special. He's able to scramble. He's able to create. He's able to extend. When you extend, that's where guys get open down the field. You can create pressure off the edges, contain him in the pocket. And, of course, if you're the linebackers, and there's been an emphasis earlier this year in terms of containing quarterbacks, Michael Hawkins, one of them, The pocket's going to move. He's going to use his legs. Obviously, he's averaging 13 rush attempts this year for about 68, 69 yards per game this year. Tells you that he's not afraid to take off. He's not afraid to take a hit. With that said, contain, keep eyes on him. And I like Rod Babers' point earlier this week. If you're a defensive back, all eyes need to be on the quarterback. You got to, kind of sit back there, play your zone coverage, understand where the football is, and not be afraid to come up and make a play in space whenever he's taken off. But edges and linebackers, again, I look at Anthony Hill and Leon Glafau as two guys that need to have a good day and probably will have a good day if the last couple of weeks have been in any indication of the way that they're playing. This will be a big day for them coming up the field to make plays behind the line of scrimmage.
What about you, Jerry? What do you see as the Texas defensive priority in the key?
Yeah, so first of all, I want to say that if you look at Vanderbilt's offensive rank there, it's not that impressive, okay? They play a ball control offense, but keep in mind they averaged 20 points a game last year. So they're up +9. They averaged 307 yards of offense last year. They're +60. So they are a much improved from being horrendous offensive team, and that's why they're 5-2. Look, it's gap integrity the front. It's diagnosing with very few false steps at linebacker, and it's eye discipline, as Rod pointed out, and I agree with eye discipline in the secondary. Those three things have to marry together today. Gap integrity, edges. Look, but Diego Pavia he has running back vision. Remember, and it's different. Remember, Vince Young had running back vision. Those quarterbacks who are really good off schedule, they tend to have running back vision. They see that linebacker false step before a normal pocket passing quarterback that's playing on the move ever would. They see it like a running back. And quarterbacks in college that are playmakers and see it like a running back are really dangerous, because that means your gap integrity. That means you're diagnosing at the linebacker position. That means this guy sees your false step. He sees you get out of position up front. Deion Walker did it at Kentucky twice, where he was working upfield but got out of his lane. And what did Pavia do? He ran it right behind his butt for an 8-9 yard gain. That's what quarterbacks that have running back vision do. So it's a very disciplined football game. But you have to be disciplined while also still playing fast and being physical. So that means it's a hard team to play against. But I think Texas is going to win physically today on defense, win physically. And I do think you're going to see a team that's had really good communication this year have strong communication again today. And the linebackers, the big thing for me with the linebackers is not just the diagnosing, but when they run quarterback power, when Cedric Alexander is leading Diego Pavia, he's not – the Texas linebackers that if you're watching, you can't play around these guys. He's not the normal 5'9", 295-pound running back. He tries to square you up like he's 230. He tries to put your ass on the ground. So the Texas linebackers have to take on the contact, not try to play around it today, because, again, Diego will make you pay. You got to play through it.
Hey, Bobby, if I can add one more thing, and defensively – first downs, staying ahead of the chains defensively has to be big. I went back through the Alabama game. They had 26 first downs, down plays, first down snaps. Only 4 of them resulted in an incompletion for 0 yards or a negative play. They averaged about 3.94 yards per snap on first downs. Stay ahead of the chains. That's what they like to do, just to be able to get into position for a third and short or a third and manageable. That's their whole key that keeps the playbook open. That has to be an emphasis for the Longhorn defense today.
100% agree. First down defense is huge.
And that leads directly to what I was going to talk about, is the third down percentage that Vanderbilt is completing right now. It is among the best in the country. They are tremendous on third downs, 51.16% on third down, 75% on fourth downs. Red zone scoring, unbelievably good. Number 12. Overall 95.8%. That is playing great football at key times. And I'm going to add another one in here that also is indicative of a team that's playing at a high level and executing. Turnovers. Just 2 turnovers all season long for the Commodores. That will lead to a lot of issues for Texas if they can't turn Vanderbilt over, and you can't get Vanderbilt off the field on third down. Again, they are playing extraordinarily well on third down right now. One of the things I do think will be different this week than what they did against Alabama, for example. Alabama couldn't get off the field on 3rd and 10 because they were throwing out routes.
Yeah.
And, Texas, I think, will be a little bit more aware of that. They'll be a little bit more aware of maybe Eli Stowers, the Vanderbilt tight end, who at that time it was just now becoming a powerful force for Vanderbilt. Now that he's a known piece of the puzzle, Texas should be able to do a little bit more to prevent that on 3rd down, that connection between Pavia and Stowers, as well as those out routes on 3rd and 10, if Texas were to get Vanderbilt into those situations. And guys, let's talk about who individually you think needs to have a big game today. For me, I mentioned early on the edges. One guy that I think is starting to play a better brand of football, and we saw him have a couple of pressures last week. No, he still does not have a sack, I don't think, and not a full one at least, but Trey Moore. He could be key in this game because he is a great blend of size and speed. He does not have great size, but he's got the speed and strength to kind of match with Pavia a little bit on that edge. Barron Sorrell, the other guy for me. Those two, upperclassmen that have seen this type of offense before somewhere down the line and aren't going to get fooled by a bunch of eye candy a lot. Those guys are, for me at least, the ones that I think we need to be aware of on defense right now. What do y'all think about the players individually who need to have big games and step up today?
He's got to be one. I mean, you mentioned it earlier, Bobby. I mean, if Barron Sorrell is going to be a player of the game for the Longhorns, Trey Moore has to be one as well on the opposite side. And again, he's playing as many snaps, if not more, than every single edge rusher on this team. So, again, would a sack be great? Absolutely. Would sound defense with a containment off the edge be suitable? I would say absolutely. And that, again, has been the expectation. He's done well this year. Maybe not statistically or the box score filling up as what we expected coming out of UTSA. But again, sound defense is what made Texas a lot of money this year so far. And again, if you look at it, the off-script ability, I look at Jelani McDonald again as a guy who has to have a good day filling in, because they will target him. They will find him in coverage and say, yeah, we got a really good tight end right now. If you're going to put Jelani McDonald on, we're going to test him. So he's a guy that's got to stand up for the Longhorns as well.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I was going to, after thinking about the edges are obvious, I think Barron Sorrell and maybe Ethan Burke, Trey Moore. And I'm not saying Colin Simmons won't have a sack or have a good game, but this may not be the Colin Simmons type of game where he'll have some opportunities against different teams to kind of his edge rush. It can be the difference for Texas. But I'm with CJ. I like Jalen Gilbo, and I think Jelani McDonald have to have really good games today because they're going to get their eyes have to be very disciplined today. And the eye discipline in the secondary is huge because Vanderbilt hit Alabama when their eye discipline wasn't good in the secondary. And Alabama's secondary struggled this year. So, again, Pavia is not a big arm guy. But what he does, he just sees it. He has a knack for it. He sees you drifting, and he makes a play against you. So I think Jalen Gilbo against the run is going to be really big today, and I think Jelani McDonald in coverage is going to be really big today.
All right, we are here at the local. It gets open around 11 o'clock this morning. Some Texas fans. I'm going to fan it this way. You guys already hanging out, getting ready for the game. You go see some bad weather on the outside coming in this way. CJ, you are our usual prognosticator of weather. You and Jerry expected to be some rain here in a little bit downtown Nashville for a little bit. Thankfully, at the local here where we're at on 28th and West End, there's an indoor area that we can go into for a little bit, but that's going west to east. Obviously, Nashville expected to get it in about 15 more minutes. It's already been a little rainy this morning, but it cleared up. Now it'll be a little bit more rain here in the 11 o'clock hour in about 10, 15 minutes right after we leave you guys here. All right, got a couple other things we need to talk about. I want to talk to you guys about score predictions. We've all given our score predictions today. Earlier, we need to come back to that and talk about it again. But before we do, I want to say thank you to South Point Dodge, one of our key game day sponsors and sponsors all week long. Texas football fans, score an easy extra point this season when you get to the point at South Point Dodge. South Point Dodge has more than 600 vehicles in stock, and their award-winning sales staff doesn't do games or gimmicks. They just get straight to the point by getting you the very best deal. So score big today at South Point Dodge. Come see us off I-35 in South Austin or at southpointdodge.com. Get to the point at South Point Dodge. South Point Dodge is Austin's automotive everything. Looking to sell your car? Get South Point's best offer over the phone or online. Guys, we're looking at this game. I think all three of us picked the Longhorns to win this game, right? The question that I have is, what do y'all, are we looking for a high scoring affair? Are we looking for a low scoring affair? Texas offense getting back on track here, or what, Texas defense going to prevail? What are we thinking here? What kind of game are we looking at? High scoring, low scoring, medium? What are we thinking?
I'm at medium. I'm at my score is 30-20. So I guess that's under the number. I think it's 52.5. And I that also means I'm not picking Texas to cover. I think one thing we haven't talked about, Vanderbilt has got a future NFL kicker. Now, he's a young kid, but he can rock it. He's 4 or 5 from 50 plus with a high of 50. Says CJ's about to get rained on with a high of 57, or a long of 57. So if Vanderbilt can get in field goal range, this guy knocks him down. And I do think Vanderbilt will have enough success to get his leg involved in this game. But I expect Texas. Look, I'll say this. I go 30-20. If Quinn is the Quinn we were seeing earlier in the season, I think Texas could score up 38 or 40 in this game. But a lot's going to depend on where he's at today in maximizing that Texas passing game. Now, Isaiah Bond's out, but I think Ryan Wingo will step up. And I actually think Silas Bolden could have a really good day against this defense too. This could kind of be his receiving coming out party. Not that he needs one. But I could see also Texas having a big return in this game, whether that's Matthew Golden or Silas Bolden. So I think there's going to be multiple ways Texas can score and win in field possession, but I'm going 30-20. But Vanderbilt has a kicker. Don't let it come down to a kick, dude. That guy's good now.
I will add this. Isaiah Bond and Andrew McCuba definitively out for this game, although they did not appear that way on the injury report. We are hearing neither of those guys will play for the Longhorns on Saturday. CJ, what about you? High-scoring game, low-scoring affair? What do you got for the Longhorns today?
Yeah, I guess medium's a good way to put it. I have 31-17. I put that out earlier this week. I'm going to stick with it again. It has to be up to Texas to dictate what they do offensively, and I think that starts early. Because, again, the whole recipe for success for Vanderbilt is going to be a very similar start to what Texas saw against Mississippi State at home a few weeks ago. They want to limit possessions. They want to shorten the game, and that's with 12, 13, 14-play drives that take off 7 or 8 minutes, just chugging away 5 yards at a time. That's what they want to do, and if they're successful in that case, well, that limits what Texas is able to do offensively, obviously, and limits the amount of times that they're able to put points on the board. For that reason, 31-17, that feels accurate. Again, if you're Texas defensively, the big key there – sorry, I got a little spook seeing all these police officers walk over at me. Defensively, it's all about getting off the field early. Give your offense the opportunity to get the ball back at plus field position and get that offense rolling. 30-17, I'm locking it in, and we're rolling with it.
It's interesting. I went 27-17 in this game, and I felt like it might be early in the week in particular. I felt like it might be a very defense-oriented game for Texas, where they're going to have to rely on guys like Barron Sorrell, Alfred Collins, Leon Galafau, Anthony Hill to kind of corral Diego Pavia, and I think they'll be able to. I don't know that Pavia will have the season that he's had to this point. Now that he is more of the focal point and known guy that he is, he's going to have to step up his own game a little bit, right? Because people now are saying, hey, this is the guy we got to focus on. So there's that aspect. My question really is what Texas does on offense. Defense travels, offense, it's going to be weird because I feel like right now I'm a little concerned whether or not they're going to continue being and executing at a high level. They had such good success in the red zone through game 5, game 6 of the season, and then they've kind of went sideways ever since then. And I'm talking about the high red zone too, the 30-yard line and in. Last week they could not capitalize often enough against Georgia. And so those kind of problems, if they persist, I'm picking 27-17. Texas gets over the hump. but I could see this being a Texas blowout too, 43-17, 45. I mean, Texas has the firepower. That much we know, and that's what we really want to see here as we get going.
I think what's really interesting about this game is how it's going to contrast today. Texas is coming off a game in which, and somebody said yesterday that Sark looks a little angry or pissed off in his press conference this week, and he should, because Texas got beat physically. They got beat physically in a big game, and the coach talked trash after the game. So that's the trifecta to piss off a coach and the coaching staff and players. So I think we're going to see Texas come out with great intent today. On the Vanderbilt side, what makes this such an intriguing game for me, and this is college football in a nutshell, Vanderbilt's already surpassed their season expectations. And most people had them 2-10 this year. They've already beat 3 Power 4 teams and took Missouri to overtime on the road. And no matter what you think of Missouri, you just got to say Vanderbilt took Missouri to the road to overtime on the road. That wouldn't have happened the last few years. So this is a kitchen sink game. We're throwing it all at Texas today. Whatever trick play we haven't used, it's coming out. We got our defensive guys healthy. Everybody's coming out. We're throwing the kitchen sink at it. We're playing with house money today. We're 5-2. We've surpassed expectations. We know we're going to win some game or two left. So we're going bowling, which at Vanderbilt's not always the case. They're going to throw everything at this game today. That's why discipline on defense is huge. Special teams, the offensive trick plays, everything they have that they haven't shown, I think comes out today in this game.
All right. We're going to wrap it up because it's starting to rain here, and I don't want my computer to get burned up. So we'll have to cut this one a little bit short today. I want to say thank you to all of you that came in. Also say thanks really quickly to the folks at Hargrove Roofing, our friends there with offices all over Louisiana and Arkansas, and of course, Texas, including Austin. Hargrove Roofing will take care of all of your roofing needs. Plus, they're very Longhorn friendly with partners like our kicker, Bert Auburn, and former defensive tackle, Stevie Lee. They are the most pro burnt orange roofing company out there. Call them today for a free roof inspection. Hargrove Roofing. Know who's on your roof. Guys, let's see what happens today. We're here at the local one last time. If you're in town and want to come out and hang out, please do so. Also, visit us online at On Texas Football. We've got stories up today. Jerry's going to be checking in on the message board every so often. Visit with us however you want to. Again, on TexasFootball.com or over here at the local and then we have the watch with us starting at the 3:15 today or 3:00, followed by the postgame show with Rod Babers and Brian Robeson. All right, that's going to do it. CJ, I'll see you over here in a little bit at the tailgate. Jerry, you take care there and make sure you keep things tied down. Tell Jezik, your son, hello for us too, buddy. Y'all take care now. Hook 'em. Good luck to the Longhorns today.